let's look at one more example. This time I have dy dx is equal to x square root of y. I know y1 is equal to 4, and I want to know what y of 2 is. So once again, we're going to use that h is equal to 0. So once again, we're going to use that h is going to be equal to 0.25, or 1/4. Since we know x0 is 1, x1 is going to be x0 plus h, which is 0.25, which gives me 1.25. For x2, I would take x1 plus 0.25, which gives me 1.5, and then I keep going in this process. When I do that, I get x3 is equal to 1.75 and x4 is equal to 2. So now I need to find my y values. And as a reminder, the general formula y sub n plus 1 is equal to yn plus h times f of xn yn, where in this case, f of xy is x square root of y. We know that y of 0 is equal to 4, and so we can use that to help us find y1. So the formula says we would use y0, which is 4, plus h, which is 0.25, times, and then we use our previous point. X is 1, y is 4, so we have 1 times the square root of 4, which would give us 4.5. We now want to find y2 using my point x1, y1. So I have y1, which is 4.5, plus h, which is 0.25, times f of x1, y1. So x1, 1.25 times the square root of y1, which is 4.5, which is approximately 5.16. We now continue this process to find y3. So we would have y2, 5.16, plus h, which is 0.25, times x2 square root y2. So 1.5 times the square root of 5.16, which is approximately 6.015. Doing this process one last time, we have y3, 6.015, plus h, which is 0.25, and then I need to multiply that by x3 square root y3, which gives me an approximation of 7.088. Now let's look at doing this in Excel and seeing about changing the value of an h and how that changes our approximation. So we know the x's are going to be incremented by h, so I'll use the previous value plus h. And we'll go ahead and put the dollar signs around the h value so that we don't try to change cells when I copy this formula down. So we have exactly what we had for h before. We know that y of 0 is 4. So now my f of x0, y0 is going to be equal to my x value times the square root of the y value, since that's my differential equation. For my next value of y, I would use the previous value plus h times this f of x0, y0. And once again, we're going to cell lock the h value. This one then comes from, once again, x1 times the square root of y1. And from here, I can just copy these formulas down. And when I do, I get my approximation of 7.088, just like I had before. Now let's suppose we want to change the h value to 0.125. I can now copy all of these formulas down until I get to 2. And now my estimation is 7.316. So we've seen it increase slightly from 7.088. If I change it again to 0.0625, once again I can copy my formulas down. And this time I have 7.437. Switching h down even further, and once again copying my formulas down. This time we have 7.499, so I'm getting closer and closer to the actual value.